This is my friend Lani. Lani is a wife to Sheridan and mother of 10, which we're going to talk a lot about today. Her youngest is almost 3, and her oldest is 21. Is that what you said? Okay, cool. So first of all, with having 10 children, I would imagine you get all kinds of reactions and comments and questions. Do you have a favorite common question or a most annoying comment, or what stands out in your mind?
I don't know. Some of the ones that actually make me laugh are when people just cuss and it comes out without, they can't even help it. And I'm like, well, sometimes I feel like saying that too. But my favorites actually are when people just say, way to go, good for you, or thank you, And I've actually had a lot more positive than negative by a long ways. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So having 10 children, when you got married, was a large family always in the plan? Was 10 the number you were shooting for, or was it one at a time? How did that happen?
We actually used to joke and tell people we were going to have a dozen, but realistically we just, especially after we got into it, a few kids, we were just like, we'll just take this one at a time and see how we feel each time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I've always felt when I had another child that there was someone missing, and so that made it easy to know.
Mm-hmm. You are doing it. Interesting. Okay, so having this many children, and I would imagine, especially having older kids, you need their help quite a bit in taking care of the younger kids, and obviously taking care of the house. Are there things that you kind of draw the line on that can't be delegated as far as your kids' needs, that you as a parent want to take care of that and not another child, or is that just a need by need basis?
Discipline is something that some of my older kids try to be the disciplinarian, or even younger kids, and that's something I don't want them to do. Mm-hmm. I don't want them, because that gets into a very gray area of this just turns into a fight. And so that's one thing that I try to make sure I'm the one doing. Mm-hmm. I can't think of anything else where I won't let the older kids help. Just kind of more emotional things, but kids help and hurt each other emotionally no matter what I'm going to do. But I try to make sure that if they have emotional needs, that I can be there for them. And so it's not always possible, and it's not always perfect, but the discipline and being there for emotional needs. And I try to be the one there for certain things, but sometimes I can't be, and sometimes siblings do fill the place. But they do a lot of cleaning, cooking, taking a younger sibling somewhere. So those things are all easily delegated.
Cool. Have you ever had pushback from your older kids on when you're going to have another baby or continuing to grow your family? How do your kids feel about a large family?
Okay, so my 2 oldest are girls, and they are very nurturing, and they have really enjoyed having little babies, and so they've always been pretty excited. Their biggest qualms were that I had so many boys right after them. There were 6 boys right after the 2 girls, and so there were many tears when we found out the gender multiple times, but they've always been super supportive and very excited. In fact, my oldest said, I think you should have a baby after I have a baby. And I'm like, what?
Really?
Yes, but I'm like, I don't know about that, but she's not even married yet. So anyway, the girls have been super supportive, and the boys haven't seemed to have one opinion or another. They sometimes are like, why? But they've been pretty supportive. I'm really lucky that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So with this many children and this kind of chaos that I'm sure that that brings, there's a certain amount of just mess and destruction and chaos that comes. So, so how have you kind of wrestled through that to kind of get to a place where you're okay?
Well, it's a daily struggle, and it's a lot of reminding myself what is going to last and what is not. And I don't know if you care if I share an experience right now.
Please.
That I had a few years ago when I was really struggling with the mess and the chaos. It was just too many days of everything out of my control and too many messes and nobody listening to me and no one helping, and I'm sure every mother has been there. And I just went out to the park near my home, and I found a grove of trees, and I was just crying there and praying and asking God to help me, because I just felt so incompetent, and I felt just like I was just too unhappy. I just was tired of being unhappy all the time. And after being there for a while, I just started having this little conversation with the Spirit, and I was told to look up and look around me, and what did I see? And I said, I see leaves, and I see pine cones, and I see trees and roots and weeds and grass. And the Spirit said, that's creation, and is it clean and tidy? And I was like, no, it's not. And I just had this impression that you, as a mother, are participating in creation. That's what you're doing with these children. And it isn't tidy and it isn't clean. And that's okay. It's actually the way it's supposed to be. They don't come to earth and then just sit there while you sculpt them or whatever. They move, they learn. They're humans that are learning how to live, and it's a messy process. Creation can be messy. And so it was just a really powerful experience for me, because I think I told myself so many times that was true, but this time it really was the Spirit teaching me, and so it really stuck. And I've been able to find a lot of happiness amidst the mess since that time. And it's a huge blessing for me. I don't know if my husband has liked that. He likes it clean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
But I've been able to look past it and just see what I'm doing and see these little people and what they're becoming, and realize that I can clean up the mess anytime. But there's just certain things that you can only do right now, and that's being a mom, and sometimes it's messy.
Sure. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. So there's a common philosophy that I feel like goes around right now, that women can have it all, and we can, and I would say women can be anything, we can do anything, but we can't usually have it all right now. So with 10 children, and you're being pulled in so many different directions and needed in so many different ways, what part of you have you had to put away, and how have you been okay with that?
Well, the first thing I put away was career. Even when I was choosing my career, I realized I wanted to go to medical school, and I was dating my husband at the time, and I realized this is probably going to end in marriage, and medical school is a really long time to postpone having a family. And it was something I wanted to do, but I knew even back then that I wanted more to be a mom. And so I think women can do whatever they want now, and that's wonderful, and I think it's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always felt like I wanted to do mom, because I felt like it would have the most lasting consequences, and it was the best use of my time. And so, but even being a mom, even just choosing to be a mom, it's like you said, you do have to sacrifice things. A lot of what I have sacrificed are just kind of hobbies and interests, and I realize that a lot of those will get to come later, but I also realize that some of them won't come in this life. Sometimes you do sacrifice, and that's what sacrifice means. It means you give something up in hopes of something better at the end. So, or in faith, more in faith than in hope. But I feel like whatever I'm giving up, sometimes it's my hobbies, my interests, sometimes it's my sleep, Sometimes it's just getting to relax. And a lot of times it's a clean home. It's also, when you have a really large family like I have, you definitely have to give up this model of what an ideal mom is. Like, you go to every PTA meeting, you go volunteer in the school classroom, you're at every game for every kid, you're having a healthy meal, every meal ready on the table, and I wanted to be that, you know, I did, and I still do, and I still try, but I don't beat myself up when all those things don't line up, because they never do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people look at me and say, oh, I could never do what you do, and they think I have some special time turner where I can do all these extra things. It's like, no, I don't. I just give things up. They're just things you give up.
Okay, I think my last question is, having had so many kids go through the different phases now, do you have a favorite age?
I think I probably do. I think it's like that 3, 4, 5.
Really?
That is, I mean, I love newborn, but you're in so much distress after your body just went through a horrific experience that it's really hard to enjoy that. So maybe as a grandma, that will be my favorite. But just as a mom, I just love that pre-K age. They say the funniest things, and the world is a delight to them. And I don't know. I love hanging out with teenagers. I love all the ages, but the one that just really touches my heart, and I just feel like this is why I'm doing this, is the pre-K. That we have a Cordova quote book that most of the quotes in it, they're just funny things our kids have said, and I wish I'd started it like a decade earlier. But most of the things in it are said by like a 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old kid, and it's just such a fun age. So
that's fun. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. Are you ready for a speed round?
Sure.
All right. Lani, what's your favorite sound?
My favorite sound is, I have two. One is my kids giggling as they're playing together, and the other is hearing them, like when we're on a trip or something and we're all in the same room, hearing them all breathe while they're all asleep. I just love that sound. It's actually kind of musical.
Oh, wow.
It's very peaceful. So
That's an interesting
it's only
answer.
happened like 2 or 3 times in my life. So maybe that's why I love it.
That's fun. What's your least favorite sound?
Oh, that's probably either fighting. That would probably be every mother's least favorite sound.
Mm-hmm.
Or the sound of milk or drink spilling on a freshly mopped floor.
Oh.
That's not one I like.
Oh, that's so real. That's so real. That's crying over spilled milk. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word is sure, because that's when I ask a kid to do something and they say sure, and I don't hear it that much. But you would think it would be thank you, but anyone can say thank you and not really mean it. But when a kid says that, they're usually going to do what I ask. So
Oh, man.
sure is probably my favorite.
I like that. What do you know?
I know, and I think I already said this, but I know that being a mom is the best use of my time in my short life that I have. It's the best use of my time.
Amen to that. What do you want to learn?
Oh, everything. I love learning things. I want to learn how to do a lot of things that are like skills, but I think the biggest thing I want to learn is how to be a mom so that I give my kids the best chance of happiness. And that's something I'm still learning. So it's something I actually pray and fast for fairly often.
That's cool. What scares you?
Actually, kind of the same thing. It scares me that I am going to emotionally damage my children by being an imperfect mother. However, and this is something that I am attacked with like fairly constantly, but I've come to realize that that is a thought from Satan, and that the atonement will take care of whatever my imperfections have been and have caused my children to suffer that the atonement covers that.
Tell me about a mother that inspires you.
Well, like most women, my own mother comes to mind first. My mom, I was the second of 9 children, and she was always a very patient person, and she just seemed to always have a lot of the qualities I lack as a mother. Just very kind and good at making all of her kids feel loved, no matter what their faults or weaknesses were, and making them feel like it's okay, you'll get through this. And so she has always really inspired me. And as I thought about this, I think my 2 daughters, and hopefully my 4 daughters, the younger ones are still so young, but my 2 oldest daughters have both expressed their desire to be a mom as their career of choice. And that to me, and I know they'll be good ones because I just have seen the goodness in them and all the many great qualities they possess. And that's very inspiring to me because it just means that I kind of got the message across, and that I was a good enough mom that they think that's what they want to be. And also it makes me have a lot of hope for the future of this world, that people like them are going to make that choice because they have so much to offer the kids that they will have, and that they are willing to make the sacrifices to forego other careers, which I know they'd be great at, to be a mom. And so that's very inspiring to me too. It makes me feel gratified.
That's really wonderful. That's what we all hope for our kids. What are you good at?
It's hard to find time to figure out what I am good at. As we mentioned, I've put a lot of hobbies aside, but I think I usually end up being good at what I enjoy. I enjoy dancing and video editing. I haven't done much of that in a while. But my mom had this mug that she had when I was young, and it was this woman with a cape on, and it said, "I can do it all, however, I tend to excel at the fun stuff." And I think that would probably be my theme, and the things that I'm good at are just fun things, helping people have fun and having fun. So
cool. I love that. Thank you so much, Lani.
You are welcome.